In the early years of Fallout modding, before Fallout 4 inspired hundreds of thousands of mod creators, there was one project that everyone in the Fallout community was following with great interest. This mod was known as Project Brazil by Tyone, one of, if not the earliest DLC-sized mod created for Fallout New Vegas, promising a dynamic story with multiple playable quest lines and different endings. On October 23, 2018, we saw the realization of this game-changing mod concept in Fallout New California. And if you want to help change the game, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a single upload. Because of the nature of this mod and how dynamically the story can play out depending on the player's choices, this review will focus primarily on an NCR playthrough, while still using examples from other playthroughs, quest lines, and storylines for the review section. You are the star player, a citizen of Vault 18. The game opens during a Vault Ball game, which is seemingly identical to American football. The ball has just been passed to you, and you're charging forward to make the game-winning play. It is at this point you are given the first choice of the game, to pick between the path of the warrior or the path of the scientist. Either will begin the game differently, path of the warrior resulting in a successful play, and the path of the scientist resulting in a failed play. Both paths also give the player different preset base perks and stats, similar to old school RPG class archetypes. For this review, we'll be following my initial playthrough on the path of the scientist. After failing to make the big play, you wake up in the medical ward, begrudgingly looked over by the Vault's resident engineer and current acting physician, Dr. Kevin Rossman. He informs you that your leg was broken during your failed play, calls you a nerd, and tasks you with assisting in some light engineering work. While unlocking data logs on the Vault's main computer, you accidentally intercept an Enclave transmission, alerting them to the location of the Vault. Dr. Rossman sends you to inform the Overseer while he prepares the Wasteland Scouts, Vault 18's primary defense and scouting battalion. During these events, you are also given the freedom to explore the Vault and chat with other residents, learning more about them and the community. You learn that the Vault is in the tail end of an election to decide the next Overseer, with popular populist challenger, Coach John Bragg, running on a pro-security platform against the current Overseer. Once you've gotten your fill of socialization, you head back home, have a brief chat with your family, check your emails, and get some well-deserved rest. Until the Vault fucking explodes! It turns out that Coach Bragg and his sister, Security Chief Chevy, are secretly Enclave spies who have been slowly indoctrinating Vault 18's youth with
cockamamie America coke garbage
to create a ragtag army of well-equipped, obedient Enclave soldiers. During your escape, you have the potential to recruit and rescue other Vault residents that, like you, were brought into the Vault as children. Regardless of your decision, you will always meet up with Ben Kurtz, a young adult and member of the California tribe, before losing his memory and being sheltered in the Vault as a teen. Tragically, Dr. Rossman is shot and killed during the Enclave attack. Speaking with him in his last moments of life, he informs you of a cabin hidden in a nearby mountain that you and any companions you have can hide in for a short time, from both the Enclave as well as the more dangerous elements of the Wasteland. After a brief reprieve though, those dangerous elements find you regardless. While resting at the cabin for the night, you are awakened by Ben. He informs you that raiders are just down the hill and that they're demanding the location of the recently passed Dr. Rossman. After a short scuffle with the raiders, you continue further west and eventually run into Desert Ranger Kerry Vargas, who is involved in a battle along the highway. You assist the New California Republic in defeating the raiders and then follow them to the small town of Union City, now the base of operation for the NCR activity in the pass. Regardless of your own personal agenda, you are recruited by NCR General William Bill Silverman as an off-the-books operative, using your relationship with the now deceased NCR's most wanted Dr. Kevin Rossman as leverage. Your first major assignment sees you helping to restore power and water to Union City by fixing the nearby power station as well as a water pump in California Tribe territory. Later, you're told by General Silverman that the NCR has taken an interest in an old-world military installation called Fort Dagger Point, rumored to be filled with monsters of all kinds but sealed off from the rest of the world. As such, you are tasked with retrieving the access key from a bounty hunter named Anaya Aran, who is currently shooting people in the Union City bar. Speaking at length with Anaya leads her to revealing that she has been alive since before the Great War due to an old-world military experiment called Project Brazil, a parasite that would effectively make its host immune to aging and capable of surviving massive damage. It can also be revealed, both at the bar as well as at Fort Dagger Point, that the Project Brazil parasite causes Anaya to every now and again replicate herself. Though she is normally able to absorb these clones, 3 have managed to live separate from her: her traveling companion Jerry, as well as the still very much alive John and Chevy Bragg. As you're exploring Fort Dagger Point, you're eventually instructed to investigate part of the fort on your own. This, however, proves to be a trap, and you're confronted by super mutants working on behalf of another known as the Father. This is where the game's first ending can be achieved. By engaging in dialogue with a super mutant known as Vager, you learn that the super mutants kidnapped a California tribal woman and were able to successfully impregnate her to give birth to multiple human children infected with the Brazil parasite. These children are yourself, as well as any other companions you managed to bring with you from Vault 18, not including Ben. Vager offers you a place in this new world that the Father is creating, allowing you to become one with their growing army and act as the progenitor of a new generation of super mutants. This ending eventually culminates with you joining the Unity, the human race being wiped out, and the new dominant species adventuring out into space, looking for other planets to assimilate. Attempting to flee from the super mutants results in a chase from the fort, killing the endless mutant army pursuing you along the way. Once you have escaped from Fort Dagger Point, you regroup back at Union City and inform General Silverman about the super mutant army. With all the commotion of the super mutant army, Silverman sees this as the perfect opportunity to assassinate the leader of the Raider Alliance, a highly organized group of raiders that the NCR has been at odds with for decades. One of the options for taking out the raider warlord Elsdragon sees you kidnapping his daughter, holding her for hostage at an old gas station, taking him as a prisoner instead, then escaping as he attempts to kill himself and you with an explosive. With the raider warlord dead, the NCR can turn their attention towards the super mutants, sending you and the entire brunt of the NCR military back to Fort Dagger Point. Fighting your way back into hell itself, you eventually come face to face with the Father, the leader of the Fort Dagger Point super mutants now invading the pass. As in the super mutant ending, the Father reveals that you are also a host of the Brazil parasite. Unlike the earlier ending though, he also informs you that you specifically are a clone of the Vault Dweller from Fallout 1, harvested from the New California tribe to eventually die at the hands of the Father. It is also revealed that the Father has formed a tentative alliance with John and Chevy Bragg to acquire the nuclear payload housed inside the fort, an alliance that is rapidly deteriorating. After either slaying the Father or convincing him to join you against the Enclave, you meet up with Anaya, who is in the process of further mutation in preparation for your final fight against John and Chevy Bragg. Your final confrontation sees you, your companions, and a fully mutated Anaya taking on both the Bragg siblings. In a tragic but inevitable turn of events, Anaya tells you that the only way you can make sure that the siblings are gone forever and that no more of Anaya's spawns can go rogue is that if all 3 of them are incinerated under the jets of the nuclear weapon. Sadly though, General Silverman informs you that he will soon be brought up on charges related to his activity in the past, and that you will either be jailed or experimented on back in California. As a way out though, he offers you one final mission. From here, an epilogue plays, but it is such a good ending that I don't want to spoil anything, as I feel this ending deserves to be experienced firsthand. Unlike many of the other mods I have reviewed in the past, it's difficult to give a full breakdown of New California because of how modular the story is. Even though all roads lead back to Kansas, How you get from the start of the game to its conclusion may vary in dramatic ways based on how you approach both missions as well as exploration. For example, if you are captured by the raiders outside Black Bear Lodge, you are introduced to the raider warlord Elsdragon earlier in the game. You're given the option to ally with or reject Elsdragon's offering, but either option leads him to throwing you into the mines to prove your worth. In the process of rallying the raider slaves in the mines to your cause, you are confronted by a Nightkin who works for the Father. Through dialogue, you can not only convince him to help you kill the behemoth as part of your trial, but also to kill Elsdragon should you choose to attempt to fight your way out of the raider stronghold. Do this, and later before confronting the Father, that same Nightkin will help you in defeating his old master. This kind of dynamic "your actions matter" style of writing goes a long way towards making the main story of New California feel both alive and giving real meaning to your decisions. As for what the story consisted of, whether intentional or not, it was interesting to see multiple different social topics come up throughout the mod. Coach Bragg and the Enclave exemplifying militaristic patriotism with their persuasion over the Vault 18 youths and their desire to restore American purity. Coach Bragg himself giving a valid reasoning for his concerns over the destructive and seemingly hopeless nature of the wasteland. General Silverman and Senator DeVille acting as two sides of a colonial government, as exemplified by Chief Awuga's acknowledgement of the NCR's colonial educational system, re-educating tribal children in the ways of the NCR as opposed to their own culture. Senator DeVille acting as a representation of corrupt politicians as well as a criminal enterprise's sway over government. Elsdragon and the Raiders represent the chaotic nature of freedom, independence, and organizing when faced with an overwhelming presence that seeks to pacify you. At the end of the day, there are no good people in New California. Every group has their flaws and is damaging in some way or another. The NCR destroying cultures, the Raiders enslaving and murdering people, and the Enclave trying to racially purify the region. Despite the well-crafted story, there are still some dents that detract from the overall quality of the mod as a whole. At the start of the game, even though we are introduced to over a dozen different characters, we as the player never really get to spend much time with the majority of them. From what I have heard from many other people who have played New California, the consensus is that the first part of the game, the part that takes place in Vault 18, is the apex of the story and that it all goes downhill after leaving the vault. I disagree, as the world outside the vault has so much more to offer in terms of story, discovery, and atmosphere. Additionally, even though we as the character have long, well-established relationships with many other characters in the vault, we as the player never really get to explore those relationships in any kind of great detail outside of a few specific instances. For example, the first time we talk with Jamie on the Path of the Scientist, the tone of the conversation hints that she and the star player have a pre-existing friendship, yet the amount of dialogue that exists in the game between you and Jamie is almost non-existent outside of a few very specific quest-related lines. The biggest offender is none other than your direct family, Sister Mandy, Brother Sean, and half-brother Jason. Your entire dialogue with them revolves around how they missed your Vault Ball game to play their own tabletop game. You talk with Mandy a bit about the other members of the Vault, and then within 15 minutes of meeting them, they're all dead. There are of course specific characters such as Ben, Dr. Rossman, and Coach Bragg that we do spend extended periods of time with, but only because they become important characters later on. Many other characters, though, are simply introduced, defined a little, then forgotten about for the rest of the story. Companions like Kira and Johnny do have short quests and very minor character arcs attached to them, but it would have been much more interesting to see the same done with other companions, or be able to see the character arcs with other members of the Vault. It makes the impact of the Vault's destruction, as well as the reveal that Bragg and Chevy are turncoats, much less impactful because there's no real sense of loss, having only met these characters minutes ago. Except Ernest. Fuck Ernest. Nobody cares if he's dead. Additionally, depending on how you play the escape from the vault, you have the opportunity to recruit every human companion in the mod. This is great. However, aside from a few key moments in the main story, we never really get the opportunity to interact with them more organically. We don't learn more about Ben and the history of his tribe, Eric and Jamie's taboo relationship, even though that's explored in a mission you can do on the Path of the Warrior, or any of the other characters after we escape from the vault. While we do have an extended scene and briefly interact with our companions at Black Bear Lodge, we do not have the opportunity to explore their history or who they are as characters. We don't get the opportunity to talk with Jen about her legendary Wasteland Scout father, or see Eric put his botany studies to good use. We don't experience these people actually being people. Because of this, with a full team, they just become this faceless army standing behind you, killing almost anything that gets in your way with relative ease. Overall, Fallout New California is not a perfect mod, but it stands as one of the biggest, best, and most well-written quest mods that is yet to be created for a 3D Fallout game. After being in development for over 6 years, what is presented is not only the game's story, but also the world building, which has been something that many modders have looked to for inspiration over the years. New California stands as an example and proof that a small team of developers can produce a product that can rival even the main series of games. While the mod may be lacking in the same level of polish that you'd find from a full studio, what has been created is nevertheless impressive, admirable, and has set the standard for DLC-sized mods to follow. If you're looking for a new adventure to begin, a new world to explore, new friends to make, and a new story to experience, Fallout New California will, like it did with me, keep you coming back again and again and again. Thank you for watching my review of Fallout New California. Check out some of my other reviews by clicking on one of the videos you see on screen. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more reviews, compilations, and gameplay series. Until next time though, I thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all out there in the wasteland.